Nick in Arizona, who wants to talk about how an all-powerful God doesn't seem logical. Nick, what's going on?
Hey guys, until you get a theist caller, this is just a really quick. This is just a really quick question for you guys, and I'm just wanting to get your opinion on it. So, the whole concept, we've all heard the old trope of, if God's all powerful, could He create a rock so big He couldn't lift it? And all I've ever heard back to that is them say, well, that's just illogical. But it actually does seem logical to me. Like there's nothing illogical about if you're all powerful, you should be able to create a rock, infinitely big and be able to lift it. So what's illogical about that?
Yeah, I like the can God make a burrito so hot he can't eat it way of formulating this. Yeah. So it is illogical. Being all powerful it doesn't make sense. So an all powerful God in the sense that you're talking about sort of, couldn't exist. It's a square circle. It's does not compute. The way around this for believers, when you talk to them, people who've spent some time thinking about this, tends to be, and I'll say something. I love how Matt has his Jesus hat that he puts on. I don't have one, so there's a figurative Jesus hat that I'm putting on, putting myself back in my Christian shoes here. But they'll talk about a God being maximally powerful, being able to do anything that is logically possible and consistent with his nature is usually the things that they'll say. So that's the loophole out of the problem of all powerful. It's God is constrained by his own nature, which is, when you really start thinking about it, essentially arbitrary. And then within that, God can do X, Y, and Z. Have you ever heard a theist go down that track with you?
Yeah. So essentially they have to kind of minimize their God, and they can't anymore say all powerful because they recognize that, wow, yeah, you can't have an all powerful God, right?
Yeah, well, they'll say all powerful means maximally powerful.
Yeah.
They'll say it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind
of.
But
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, do you consider that the same thing? Maximally powerful, all powerful? Because it seems a little different to me.
No, but I don't think all powerful is possible. I don't think it's possible for a being to be able to do anything because of the problems like, creating a rock so big they can't lift it, or a burrito so hot they can't eat it. Like, yeah, obviously any being is going to be constrained by that, no matter how powerful they are. There's going to be an upper limit to it. But the out for the theist is to say you can do anything, within God can do anything within its nature. So just in the interest of steel manning our theist friends out there who we're still waiting for them to call in. Yeah. Theists, call in and make the argument. Don't make me make the theist arguments.
What are you doing to him?
Come on. Yeah. So that's usually the way it is. Also, it becomes the same thing when you talk about other attributes of God too, with things like, talking about God being all knowing, but then sort of trying to reconcile that with us having free will. Yeah. Stuff like that. The God being, all good, well, maximally good. There's always God keeps getting smaller, not just because. Exactly. Yeah. I love the one of my favorite quotes of all time is when Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about how, under the definition that is used by a lot of people, when they talk about God, essentially a God being of the gaps, that God is to be found where we don't have knowledge, that Neil deGrasse Tyson had a saying. He said that, well, under that definition, God is an ever receding pocket of scientific ignorance. And I love that. So you've got God concepts sort of constantly under assault, from the world of science as our knowledge grows. And then also even within the sort of theistic philosophical community, God keeps shrinking because the more that they think about it, there are constraints on what God can be, given what we know about how reality works. So,
exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
But that's not our problem.
That's all right. Cool. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
That was the case. So.
Awesome. I'm hoping that this. Yeah, you too. I'm hoping this call will trigger a theist, and they'll call in to set me straight here. But I hope that that was charitable to my theist friends out there.
I think so.